Hello, hello. Okay, I think I'm live. Jamie Trell here. Hope everybody is doing well. I am currently live, hopefully, on my Facebook page. Make sure to be subscribed. I don't know. Do you subscribe to a Facebook page? Whatever it is, like my Facebook page, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're watching me there. And hello, if you're watching me from my Financial Literacy for Women Business Owners Facebook group. If you're not in it, why are you not in it? Come join us over there. Okay, I see people joining, so say hello when you are here. Today, we're going to continue to talk about profitability because I love talking about this at the beginning of the year as we're making plans for 2023 and figuring out what we want to do with our business and things that we might want to improve upon, or maybe even just change our mindset around for 2023. So that's what we're going to keep talking about. And today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects and something that was a little bit of a mindset shift even for me. And that is the real key to a profitable business and how we need to stop penny pinching. Okay, now we're going to talk about the differences and where we might need to maybe do a little bit of cost control, but sometimes how we shoot ourselves in the foot as business owners when we are making decisions. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. Say hello when you're here. Okay, I see YouTube. YouTube is working. Hopefully there are people also on Facebook that are able to see me. I see y'all joining now. But we are going to jump on into talking about this. And the reason that I really wanted to talk about this specifically, I think, is because so many people think that because I am a CPA, because I teach profit strategy, that means I'm going to tell everybody about how much they have to cut all their business expenses. Okay, good. I see people from Facebook. Make sure to click the link if you're watching me in the Facebook group, if you haven't before, or even if you have, to let StreamYard see your name so I can see your pretty face, like Julie here. Okay. So this is a personal thing for me because I have always been I'll say that I've been, is there a good word? Frugal. That's a better word maybe than cheap. I would say that people in my life have told me in the past that I can be a little bit cheap. I can be a little miserly, right? I can be that person that, my problem was never overspending. My problem has sometimes been holding things a little bit too tightly. Okay. So I want to talk about this first from the standpoint of personal finances and then from the standpoint of business finances, because one day I woke up and it just kind of dawned on me how different they really were, and that I was trying to bring my personal finances and thoughts and beliefs around that into my business, and it was hurting my business. Okay. So things that were helpful in my personal life were actually hurting my business. And so when I kind of realized that and woke up to this fact, it changed a lot for me and for my business. And so I want to share this with you in case you are in this spot as well, trying to figure out how to make the best financial decisions. And in this case, we're talking about with spending. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this. So in the personal world of personal finance, right? We all know kind of the general rule. And that is to make sure that you're spending within your means, right? And that's the same for business. So that's not one of those things I'm going to say is different, okay? But the way that we do that is different, okay? But it's so important when we're spending personally to spend within our means, to make a budget or have some sort of spending plan, right? To not just be spending willy-nilly and to really be being diligent. And the way that we're going to save the most money in the long run is to have less expenses, right? It's to live well underneath our means. And then we can save that money. We can invest that money. That money can grow for us, right? And I'm a huge proponent of investing. Again, I'm talking personal side first, and then we're going to move into what I think from a business perspective and how this translates. I'm a really big fan of investing. I invest in the stock market. I have since I was 17 years old. Let me see. Okay. I found this, y'all. I found this recently. Has anybody read this book? I read this when I was 17, when it first came out, Smart Women Finish Rich by David Bach. Okay. Now I have some issues with him a little bit because he almost programmed me to think a very specific way. And it's been really beneficial. It has served me in my personal life. And what I mean by that is there are some tables in this book that showed me essentially how much I could make with compound interest without doing anything. And the big lesson I got from this was if we start investing early, and remember, I read this, I was very lucky, very privileged to be able to read this at the age of 17. Okay. My dad was a businessman, and I was always a numbers person basically from birth. And so I, really was interested in this world very early. And when I realized you could make money in your sleep, me as like a kind of lazy person was like, you know what? That sounds pretty good. I want to do that. Right. So, this idea of investing, essentially, I started to save all of my money that I could. Like, I saved my lunch money as a kid. I started my investment account literally off of lunch money. My parents would give me like $5 for lunch a day, y'all, and I would spend $2. I really ate very unhealthily. I ate like candy and Cokes from the bookstore instead of actual meals. I don't recommend that, but that's something that I did to save money. I saved all the birthday money, all of those types of things. And again, I was very privileged to be able to do that. I didn't have a lot of expenses. My parents paid for everything else when I was that age. So I was able to kind of gather up a fairly large sum. I also worked summer jobs and things like that. And I started an investment account at the age of 17. And in my mind, every time I went to spend money, I thought about, do I want to spend this dollar now? Or do I want this dollar to someday turn into $100, right? Because I knew the math and I knew, like at the age of 17, I was saving for when I was 65, right? My retirement. I'm like, could I put this in my Roth IRA? And then someday it's going to double and then double again and then double again and be worth way more than it's worth now. So in my mind, every time I went to go spend a dollar, I was thinking, okay, is this really worth the $100 later? And it turned me a little bit into, there are some unkind words for what it turned me into, but I basically hated spending money. I hated it. I was a compulsive saver. I was super cheap. And so it took a long time. And marrying my husband, who's a very different personality to me, to really switch my mentality around that and realize I need to live a little bit in the moment as well. There's a healthy balance between saving and investing and also living your life. But I'm going to show you one just because I think it's important, and it can give you a little bit of a viewpoint. And again, we're talking personal finances here, but I want to show you this. Hang on, let me present this. This is something, was anybody here on the workshop? I did a planning workshop last week that was so awesome. It was our first ever, annual planning workshop. I loved it. If we do it next year, y'all need to be there because it was fabulous. But one of the things I talked about was a table from this book that changed my life. And again, right now we're talking personal finances. I promise that I'm going to bridge this into business here in a minute. But this was the table that changed my life. Okay, so let me kind of, I know it's hard to see, especially if you're watching me on your phone, you're probably like, what in the world? But let me explain what this is showing you. This is the time value of money. And we all probably have learned this lesson at some point, but I just think seeing this, and I've been talking to my 8-year-old about stuff like this. I literally showed him this table and he was really interested in it. He's kind of like me. My 5-year-old probably is more like my husband, but my 8-year-old is very like me. He's like, ooh, wait, tell me more. So what this is showing is on the left-hand side, Susan, she started investing in the stock market. Again, we're talking personal finances here at the age of 19, right? Let's call it maybe like a Roth IRA or something like that. She was putting her earned income, maybe from her summer job or whatever it is, into her investment account. So she starts putting $2,000 a year only from the age of 19 to 26. And then she stops, which isn't really realistic. Obviously, you would continue and probably actually be investing more, but this is just for illustrative purposes, okay? So basically, she invested $16,000 total, okay? And then she waited until she was 65. So again, maybe this is in a retirement account. And that $16,000 turned into over $1 million by doing nothing. So here I am at 17 seeing this table and I'm like, wait, what? Wait, hang on, huh? So this is the table that turned me into a crazy cheap person who wouldn't ever buy anything because in my mind, I was thinking about this table and I'm like, well, what if this was $3,000 a year? And what if I kept investing all the way to 65? And what if in my mind, I was like, this is the secret that people don't know. Of course people know it. This is what rich people use all the time to get richer, right? And so I felt like I was let on in on this big secret when I saw this. Okay. So then we look at Kim. And again, like this just shows the power not only of compound interest, but the power of starting as early as you can, right? Kim at the age of 27 starts. Still really freaking early to be investing in the market, if I were to say. And she invests $2,000 every single year from age 27 to age 65. So that's a total of $76,000 that she invested. Okay, this is on the right-hand side. Kim, at the end of that time, has about $800,000 when she's 65. So less than, right? Susan only put 16,000 in. She's got $1 million now because she started so early. Kim put 76,000 in. Now she's got 800K, right? And so you might say, like, there's two lessons to be learned. Number one, starting early has a massive power. Now, I'm probably talking to you and you're like, great, my time has passed. I am no longer 19 years old. Why are you telling me this? And I agree. Now, this is kind of one of those things where this is why talking to your kids really early and giving them access to this type of information they can understand more than you think that they can is really beneficial, right? I will say that. But this also, again, we're going to bridge this into business. But this also shows that even starting later, that $76,000 to 800K, that's a 10x increase still, right? That's huge. It's massive. Investing and letting your money do the work, right, is like the key to financial freedom. Okay? All right? Don't hustle for your money, let your money hustle for you. That's the key. Okay. So where am I going with this? I will get out of this, I promise. Okay. So, where I'm going with that is that I took the same cheap mentality, let's call it that, okay? Like thrifty mentality into my business, right? Because it served me in my personal life. It has helped me to grow a nest egg at this point, at 40 years old, that is tremendously more than had I started a lot later. And I'm very grateful for some of those lessons. Again, I had to learn how to balance that with my life and enjoying life as well, right? Thanks, husband, for that, shift. But what I have realized is that I walked into my business when I started my business, it was a little too tied up in my head with my personal finances. And I thought, okay, I'm just not going to spend. I'm going to be as cheap as I possibly can. And yes, in the very beginning, when you don't have cash to put into it, right? When you don't have that investment cash to put into it, you might have to, really kind of pull yourself up, right? Like you're going to bootstrap it and figure it out and get like really crafty with it, right? Like get scrappy. Like I fully recommend that in the beginning of your business. But when you start to generate real income, that is when your mindset should shift around, what do I now do with this money that I'm making? How do I use this money to make like exponentially more money from it? How do I stop being the wheels that are turning my business and let my money be the wheels that turn the business? Okay. So that's the mindset shift. And instead, I was like, no, I didn't value my own time because I was like, well, my own time is free. Your time is not free. Okay. Your time is not free. Your time is the only resource that you have that is not renewable. Money is renewable, even when it doesn't feel like it. Okay. Money is renewable. There is more money out there. Your time is limited. There is an actual limit to the amount of time that you have. Stop valuing your money over your time. Okay. Let your money do the work for you so you get more time. I am feeling very strongly about this at this point in time. You're right. I do need something. I'm very passionate. I've always thought about teaching, especially high schoolers. I really want to teach high schoolers, but I do think that there are certain lessons you can learn early. My son has one share of Roblox right now. This is just an aside for anybody who wants to. I don't even know if this link is still live, but if you want to teach your kids about money, jamietroll.com/greenlight. Greenlight is fabulous. My son has a debit card. He tracks everything on his app, which makes it super fun for him. He can save for different things on there. He's saving for a crested gecko right now. He can send, you can pay him via chores through there where he can manage his chores. And we just recently added the investing thing because he got really interested after seeing this table and he wanted to invest. So he owns one share of Roblox in his Greenlight account that has gone up 30% in the last month that he has owned it. So now my son is like, this is the best thing that has ever happened. So those lessons go really far when you start them early. But again, now we're talking about business. In business, if we are too cheap, right? If we are too cheap there are certain things we should be cheap about, right? There are certain things that we don't need to be having costs that aren't actually providing us a return, right? That are just costs that are out the door, never to return again. But if we are too cheap with investments, I finally realized, wait a second, this is my idea of investing. This table is investing in the stock market. But when I started to realize, whoa, if I use my money that I'm making in my business to reinvest back into my business, what does that mean? That means intentionally putting my money to work for me, right? Maybe it's hiring someone so that I have more capacity to take on more clients. Maybe it is buying an asset. If I'm creating, if I'm hand making products, if I can buy an asset that would help me make twice as many in the same amount of time, right? That's investing in your business so that you can make more money. Maybe it's an educational program so I can learn a new skill and make more profit that way, right? Maybe it's an advertising campaign that I can run that I can turn $1 into $3, right? For every dollar in Facebook ads that I run. Again, like it takes practice to get to the point where these provide a return, but we're so afraid sometimes that it might not work out that we don't do it. And we get too cheap with our money. I know this because I've done it, right? Because we're worried, because there's risk involved. Guess what? There's risk involved in the market too. But actually, the returns that are available in your business are way more than what I'm getting in my Roth IRA. And what I mean by that is if I hire a salesperson, right, and I pay them $50,000, let's say, right, and they're out there selling for me and they're making 100,000, let's say maybe in sales, that's 100% return. 100%. Each and every year, hopefully. And maybe they get better and better and they're even making more sales than that. Or if I run an advertising campaign where I can turn $1 into $2 or $1 into $3, right? Those are 100 to 200% returns. Think about this chart right here. This is at 10% returns, which we can argue how possible that is. Okay, fine. But like 7 to 10% is generally what I try to target in the marketplace, right? That's good. That means your money's going to double every 7 to 10 years. In your business, you can double your money in a month sometimes. Again, it depends on the type of investment. It depends on, you want to be making smart investments. You don't just want to be throwing money at the wall and seeing what works. There's a little bit of experimenting in there to see what tends to work at first, but eventually you find something that investing your money in helps you grow your business. And then you want to keep doing that, keep feeding it, right? That is so critical. And I really, really want you to start thinking about spending money in your business. And when you spend money in your business, making sure that what you are that you are investing, that you are intentionally investing, money is not just going somewhere, right? Like I think we spend money just to keep our business running. Those aren't necessarily investments. That's just necessary money you gotta put into your business to keep it running. But if you are sufficiently profitable, you want to also be putting aside an intentional amount of money that is meant for bigger reinvestments, right? That is meant for maybe hiring so that you have the first couple of months saved up before you hire somebody because they probably won't have a return in the first couple months, right? Maybe it's again like an asset, an advertising campaign, an education, a program that you want to take, right? Those types of things can be really beneficial and can turn your money exponentially into more money. That is something that only business owners can do. As a person who worked for a job, I didn't have the ability to get that kind of returns on my money. And we are so hesitant sometimes because of this like personal stuff that we have with money, all the personal baggage and all the things that we feel about money personally that we carry into our business. We like lug it into our business and we do the things that maybe helped us in our personal life are shooting ourselves in the foot in our business. Okay. I feel so passionate about it because when I realized it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing the opposite. I'm actually hurting myself by being now you don't want to go crazy, right? You need to set and decide like what is an amount of money that I want to intentionally reinvest back into my business, right? And maybe like when I get returns, like, so if I reinvest into my business and let's say that investment makes me $10,000, here's what I'll typically do. I will pay myself an extra $5,000 and say, yay, I just made more money, right? I won't reinvest the entire thing, but then I'll take that extra 5 and I'll reinvest it into something else. And then maybe it turns into 10 again and I take the extra 5, right? That's typically what I do. I kind of 50-50 it where I'm not just reinvesting everything back in because then you never see the fruits of your own labor and then it's just exhausting, right? But if you take like say, okay, I made money off of this, I'm going to take some of that, right? It's mine now for my personal life. And then the rest of it, I'm going to put intentionally into something else that I think will be able to double or more my money. And that is something. And if you really think critically about what could double your money, it's going to be bigger expenses typically. The little things don't typically do that, but bigger expenses maybe. You can often make double or more on your money. Okay. All right. So that's what I want you to think about when you're thinking about where you put your money. Is it an investment or is it an expense? Yes, from a P&L perspective, all these are probably expenses, or the vast majority, right, are probably expensive. Their expenses are going to show up in your P&L. But what I mean by that is this something that's going to make me more money, right? If I put $1,000 into this, is that $1,000 gone? Or is that $1,000 going to turn into two, right? And what's the time frame that I expect that to happen over? To really be thinking intentionally about those things. And you get better and better at it with time. And that is how your business grows and scales. Okay. I'm going to give you an example. I gave this example in the workshop just because I think it's helpful. And this is a small example. This is really small. This one is one that doesn't take a lot. But let's say, and this is how we tend to think with regards to time and money. We're like, oh, I'd rather put my time into it and save the money. So for a while in my business, I was going back and forth. This was when I was a virtual CFO. And so I would work with clients. And in trying to coordinate schedules, with clients a couple of years ago, there was all this back and forth. It's like, hey, does 2 p.m. on Tuesday work for you? No? Okay. How about this time? And constantly go to my calendar and go back and forth with these emails. And I was spending all this time, right? Just like wasting time going back and forth and all of that, trying to set appointment times. Okay. Why was I doing that? Because I wanted to avoid paying $12 a month for a calendar service that would do it for me. Like, why in the world did I valued my time less than that $12 a month? And what's ridiculous is if I got that time back, number one, I could use it in my own life, or I could put it into something that actually was a better investment of my time into my business that actually made me money, right? But for some reason, I was like, $12, I don't need to pay for that. That was this guy. This guy also wrote The Latte Factor, which I do disagree with. Like, don't come after my lattes, dude. I love my lattes. I drink them mostly at home, but sometimes I like a latte. But I think that is just a really important shift that you need to make at some point in time, right? So that's kind of my diatribe on all of this. I hope this resonated with you in some way. I hope that you're thinking a little bit differently around your business, right? And around where your money goes in your business. Because we have this amazing opportunity as a business owner to reinvest. And the amazing thing is too, when we do those reinvestments, right, the money's not taxable. Now we're getting expenses as well. We're getting tax deductions for investing into our business. So it's like a win-win-win-win-win. So that is what I wanted to say today. And then I'm going to transition that into talking about my masterclass. Was anybody on the one yesterday? I had one yesterday. I've got two more, my More Profit, Less Hustle Masterclass. Okay. That is about really, figuring out what levers to pull to increase your profit. And one of the things that we do talk about there is this idea of investing, right? This idea of investing into your business and figuring out what is going to make you a return and really thinking in that way about your business expenses. Okay. Yay, Adelaide was there. Yay. I'm so glad. But y'all need to come. If you're not signed up for it, we're only doing it this one time. This is a brand new masterclass. It's not like any of the other ones. So if you've been to one of mine before, I do them about once a year. If you've been to one before, this one's totally different, completely remade. All this content is brand new. So definitely check it out. Let me put the banner up so that y'all can sign up. JamieTroll.com/more profit. We have a time available on Friday, this coming Friday. And we have a time available this coming Sunday. And if you join live, so if you can't make it, still sign up for one of these. If you can't make it, I recommend signing up for the Friday one because you'll get the replay sooner. But if you cannot make it, that's okay. You'll still get the replay. The replay is limited time, so make sure you watch it right away as soon as you possibly can. If you don't, or if you do show up though, which I highly recommend showing up live. It's a better experience. You get to interact with people. I get to interact with you, right? I like that a lot better. So if you show up live to either our Friday or our Sunday masterclass, you get a freebie. And I'm going to show you actually what it is. Not that. It's not that. You get, hang on. I need to find my thing. There is a profitability maximizer worksheet that you're going to get. I'm just going to show it to you super quick because I think it's fun to see these things. Share screen. Here we go. So this is what you're going to get. So it might be hard to see, but this is our profitability maximizer. So we're going to talk about the impact of pulling levers in your business. Okay. Pulling financial levers, i.e. profit levers. We talk about exactly what those are. And I talk about 6 different profit levers. Some of them you maybe haven't thought about before. And this will go through, you'll put some of your numbers in and just kind of, will help you estimate, okay, if I made a few little tweaks, just a few tweaks, if we're not talking about massive amounts, a few little tweaks in my business, right? How much money could I save, right? How much money could I save by doing that in my business? All right. So I want you to show up to the masterclass, show up live, but make sure to sign up. And then you're going to get this profitability maximizer that you can play around with and check it all out and like have some fun with it. I love playing around with numbers. That's something that I highly recommend. So definitely make sure to save your seat for the free masterclass, totally free. And I hope to see y'all there. And if not, go get your kids signed up on Greenlight because I'm telling you, it's awesome. They're going to love it. And it opens up conversations with your kids too about, really what money is and how money works. Right. And sometimes we avoid doing that because we're like not even confident in our own knowledge about it. But it can be great to have those conversations at whatever level they're at because they'll understand more than you think. And those lessons will serve them so well in life. Okay. All right. Y'all are amazing. I'll see you next time and bye for now.